Hey everybody, it's Thomas. Let's talk about Blood Bowl League of Blood Bowl. We're going to go over what happened last week and what's going to happen next week. So saith Thomas, and we'll start with my team, because that's what we do. A little bit of SPP here and there, got some stuff on some more people, did some things with some things, you know, usual things. Perhaps most importantly though, I got a level up on a Bloodletter Daemon. Not quite the Bloodletter Daemon that I hoped for. I mean, that said, the things I want to do with these other Bloodletter Daemons are, like, make one of them a killing piece, make one of them, I don't know, probably just a general blodge, guard, jerk. So, I want those pieces to be pretty sturdy, honestly. I think that's I feel like that's the safest way to deal with this, because niggling injury is kind of annoying, but I don't really need this piece to do much more than hit somebody. So let's talk about what I did here. I mentioned this briefly a couple times. I don't know if I ever went into it in too much detail. Juggernaut plus Strip Ball is a fantastic combination, because normally with blitzing, in order to deal with people with block, you have to get wrestle. Juggernaut removes that need entirely, because Juggernaut turns both downs into pushes, which Strip Ball then turns into a free ball. Obviously, I still want to get, you know, an actual proper knockdown, but until people get sure hands, this is going to take care of most of my problems. And if they're getting sure hands, they're probably not getting block, or they're not getting dodge, or. There's a bunch of things that go into that. So I think sure hands isn't going to be picked up very commonly. You might see it on a couple people. I think Chaos Dwarf will probably pick it up. I think Undead might want to get it. Depends on how ball carry heavy they need to be. But beyond that, aside from like the Skaven Thrower, there's not a lot of people with sure hands to begin with, and not a lot of people that are going to want to get it, either because they have 4 agility, or just because they don't need it, or there's other things for them to get. I think that's the case here. So Strip Ball should do a lot of work for me. This Bloodletter Daemon Wolf in Sheep Clothing here is going to be hunting for ball carriers, hitting them in the face, shoving them out of bounds if possible, but mostly just hitting them, getting the ball free, and then going from there. Skills I'm probably want to go for from there. There's a lot of things to think about. Dodge is probably the first one I think about. Keeps him more mobile. Also works as a protective skill from when he ends up getting stuck next to people. Other thing I could consider would be to get Mighty Blow, because if you are blitzing people a lot, you're going to be hitting them a lot. So Mighty Blow would be something to consider there. I don't know. We'll think about it when we get there. Level 3 is still a little bit ways off. That said, Wigs, and Socks is actually pretty close to level 3, so hopefully I'll be able to get that soon. I got a fan factor for this week too, and I got a bunch of money. Let's talk about where all that came from. If you haven't watched the game, it will be up in the usual corner, but a pretty good game against Mark. The first half, really amazing scatter from Mark, and then some pretty good play kept me from scoring, and then it was going to be a tie game, but then thanks to some extremely lucky play on my part, I got a last-minute touchdown to pull out the win, which, while upsetting my prediction, is okay with me for the extra money that I got for my trouble. I had 2 fame, which gave me a lot of money as well. I learned my lesson about re-rolling 4s. In part 2, because at 140, I'm only 40 away from getting the Bloodthirster. So as long as I don't roll terribly in week 4, I'll have the Bloodthirster for week 5, which means this team is, aside from being a lot more expensive, will also be a lot more dangerous. A lot of things happened this game. Mostly, I would say, the key part went down to, I'd say, Mark's dice going red a lot. Mark had a lot of red skulls, a lot of double red skulls at that, and while he was able to re-roll them eventually, because he only has 2 re-rolls, he ran out relatively quickly, and then even then he'd red skull at some key moments where he really didn't need to, and that helped me out a lot. I also started to get a lot of casualties at that point, which helped quite a bit. So 4 casualties sustained. One of them is from, one of them? At least one of them, maybe 2 of them, I'd have to go double check, are from shove-outs. He just managed to stun me a lot and then KO me twice. So not a lot of SPP from Mark. He just got the MVP, and then he got an interception at my first attempt to make the big pass, which didn't quite work out. Second one did, but the first one got intercepted, because that's what happens to me when I make passes against Mark. So yeah, not the best in terms of that, but with the pass and the MVP and the 1 touchdown and the 2 casualties, I'm looking pretty good with 13 SPP. It's not a lot. I feel like I got more other weeks, but I probably didn't actually. Let's take a look here. I did this week because of the extra touchdown, but otherwise I'm slightly above what I did in week 2, which is fine with me. Can't complain whatsoever though. I got my SPP, thanks to an MVP, on Wolf in Sheep Clothing here, and then, you know, got some SPP on some other people. These Pit Fighter cultists will probably hit level 2 eventually, but this is the core that I want leveled up anyway. So again, really good game for me. Worked out just fine for me. No injuries, no nothing. Mark on the other hand, didn't have quite as good a time as I did. Only rolled 30, which is not great. He needs more money to get his third reroll. Didn't lose any fan factor though, which is only the 2, so it's impossible to lose fan factor at that point. Got a minus strength here on Starburns. Mark and I talked about this in the game, but I'm not sure, and we've talked about it a lot since then. I don't know if this guy's worth keeping. That said, Mark can't really afford to fire him at this point, so he might just stick around. Maybe he gets doubles and gets guard. Maybe he becomes a supplemental dirty player piece. 2 strength is hard, but he still has block, so it's not the end of the world, I guess. I don't know. I don't like keeping this guy around. I feel like it'd be better to fire him, but then you risk with the loner as well. So pluses and minuses all over the place. Hopefully he rolls better next week and can get enough to get the reroll. Other key things though, no level ups otherwise aside from Abed, who got an injury and hit, or no, this is the interception actually. Was the interception? Yes. Abed got the interception because Abed is like MVP of this team right now and got Mighty Blow. Block Mighty Blow for Strength Werewolf is very, very scary. Abed at this point is just a huge wrecking ball of hitting and punching and hurting. I asked Mark why he didn't go for guard, which is what I thought he'd go for because his team could really use more guard, and he said that he wanted to go for more removal instead, which I think is not unreasonable either. Just more chances to take pieces off is never a bad thing. So not a great week for Mark, not a lot of SPP generation, not a lot of money. Could be worse though. He definitely did okay, and you know, what can you do about it? Let's take a look here at some of the other matches here. We have Zach getting a tie against Chris, a 1-1 tie. Walked in with 60k, Zach did, and pretty good amount of SPP. Got a murder in here as well. I haven't had a chance to watch this game, but basically things didn't go so great for Chris. He said he was down to 1 vampire at the last couple turns, and thanks to some luck from Zach, managed to pull it out. I'll watch the game and probably have a better sense of what happened here. You can watch it. Eventually it'll be up here. Chris will probably export it from his Twitch channel. But a pretty good game for Zach, certainly. A lot of SPP, 3 casualties, a touchdown, and an MVP is 814 SPP, which is certainly a lot better than he's done previously. Chris, 4 casualties, 1 touchdown, and MVP. So not that bad, actually. 16 SPP for Chris. I think that makes him the highest of the week so far. Not great, obviously, because he ate a death. But looks like all his casualties were pretty much badly hurt from what I can see. We'll look at his roster in just a second here. But yeah, 60k for Zach, so that's really helpful. He didn't buy his ghoul, which I think was a mistake. I don't know if it would have helped necessarily. This ghoul is just a miss next game, but he definitely needs to buy a ghoul moving forward. Got a fan factor finally as well, so that's good. This skeleton did pick up Dirty Player. I don't know if that came into factor this game. Still, like I said last week, that's definitely what I would get. It looks like he got the 3rd MVP. Meter Maid just wants to be recognized as being the most important character. Really close to level 3, which you kind of don't want on a Dirty Player piece. Who knows, maybe he'll get lucky and roll doubles, and then you can give him Sneaky Get for all this stomping fun. Or just block, or whatever. You know, it's not the end of the world if a Dirty Player piece gets to level 3, but once the skeleton gets to level 3, you're talking about 80k worth of a player. So maybe you don't want to get that sent off. No other level ups for Zach, which is kind of unfortunate. Mummy getting 2 SPP is huge, though. It means that Mummy's 1 injury away from getting level 2, which is absolutely phenomenal. Once these mummies get guard, they get a lot more terrifying than they are. I actually got a lot of pieces that are 1 MVP away from leveling up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces. So odds are really good. level up moving into week 5. But yeah, really good outcome for Zach. Let's take a look at Chris's side of things. Oof. Looks like the dead was a thrall, so not the end of the world for Chris here. Rolled 50k, which is not as good as Chris is used to, but not too bad either. considering the amount of pain and suffering he went through. Looks like Apothecary, so 8-6 total. No, it would be 5 total still. Let's see here. No real changes at all. Otto here is getting close to level 3, and actually with 1 touchdown will hit level 3, and will probably get dodge because blodge vampires are annoying. Lita Margolata here also got the injury, it looks like. Yep. So slowly but surely getting up there. Of course, also has a lot of players that are pretty close to leveling up here. Didn't lose any fan factor, which is good. Didn't gain any either, which is unfortunate. I think Chris wants to probably save for Vampire number 4. He still has 8 thralls, so it's not like he's worried about that. He's got the Apothecary. You know, and just like me, if he rolls 40, he'll have what he needs to get Vampire number 4. Once this team gets Vampire number 4, it gets really scary instead of just kind of scary, so I think that'll definitely be something Chris will want. Let's take a look here. Other game here. We have Chaos versus Skaven here. You can watch Mark and I did a replay cast of this. Pretty good matchup for Greyduck. Basically, Jessup ate enough removal early on to, or enough stuns and KOs and just weird positioning control that Greyduck was able to control the tempo. Honestly, it was a classic 2-1 grind. Skaven had to score early. Once Jessup scored on turn 3, just Greyduck was able to get it in there right at the end, get a touchdown on turn 8, I want to say. 7 or 8, really close to the end, and then was able to get another touchdown on turn 14. And I think Jessup could have tied it up if he had been a little more aggressive with his gutter runner, but considering he has the 1, I can see not really wanting to be. So a pretty solid week for Greyduck. 2 touchdowns, MVP, and a casualty. 13 SPP total. Jessup looking at 2 casualties. Actually, Skaven team out-hitting a punchier team once again. 2 casualties, 1 touchdown, 3 passes, and the MVP. So actually ends up with more SPP than Greyduck with a total of 15. The pass basically equalizing the pass and equaling 1 touchdown here. But yeah, 80k for Greyduck is really, really good. That's definitely the kind of numbers you want to be seeing on this team. Got to level up on a Chaos Warrior as well. I think block is pretty much the only skill that's worth considering in... what am I trying to say? The only thing that's worth considering at this point. There are some arguments you could make for maybe getting, you know, if a doubles roll is rolled or something like that, maybe getting dodge or something similar. But I really don't think that's worthwhile. The Chaos Warriors mostly want blocks. They can hit harder and get more SPP. Let's see, 130 for Greyduck, which means and another fan factor as well, which is great. But with 130, Greyduck is guaranteed, essentially, to get the Minotaur next week, which is very, very terrifying. Because the Minotaur adds a lot of strength and a lot of hitting to an already very strong, punchy team. Also adds up a 6 strength blitz if necessary, so that's always a good thing. Much like me, it'll add a lot to the team value, but it'll also get this team back up to 11 players. I think that's worth saving out for. I think this team can live with a loner for the week. Eat the Beastman, it's okay. And then next week, buy the Minotaur. I think that's the safer way to go. Yeah, pretty good week for Greyduck, though. Good amount of SCP spread. These Chaos Warriors are all pretty close, except for Lion Ionic here. So, 1 injury and these people hit level 2. Pretty good deal. Also could do some vanity passing. We'll see if Greyduck wants to roll the dice on that. I guess it depends on where her positioning is and who needs SPP and who doesn't. Bobcat Plinth also 1 touchdown away from getting to level 2. So the Chaos team is starting to kick into gear here, which is scary for the rest of us. Let's take a look at, where are we here? Jessup's side of things. Just another bad week for Jessup. It is double what he rolled last week, which is only 40. But that's not what he wants. He bought the Apothecary, was out of money. He really wanted to roll much better, so he has a better chance of getting the Gutter Runner. That said, 2 levels up is fantastic. The thrower here got, aside from having 5 passes, also got an MVP. So a couple things you could get on this thrower. Arguments could be made for getting block, just to make the thrower more of a hitting piece, more defensive. I think, though, that accurate is probably what I would pick up. I mean, best case scenario, the thrower gets an agility bonus, but I think either, I guess you can make an argument for safe pass too, but I think honestly accurate is just the way to go. If he rolls doubles, obviously it's strong arm, but accurate is going to add a lot more for the thrower. Just being able to throw quick passes on a 2+ with reroll is very, very good. Gutter Runner levels up as well. Baller Dash just needs to get blocked, I think, absolutely. You could, I guess, make a case for, I mean, assuming normal rolls here. If it rolls doubles, then mutations can change everything. But I think arguments we made for giving this Gutter Runner Wrestle as well. But considering it's the only Gutter Runner that Jessup's going to have for at least another week, 40 is apparently the magic number going into week 5 here. But assuming he only has this one Gutter Runner, block is probably going to be safer. Blodge is better than Wrestle, because Wrestle will put the Gutter Runner on the ground. And, you know, this team is fast enough where I think it can make up for players getting ahead of them. So we'll see. Bullshit getting pretty close. Still is just the MVP, but pretty close here. Jessup got a bunch of players also in range of hitting a level up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, pretty good odds of getting to getting to level 2 on a couple of key pieces here, especially Blarney. Blarney would definitely like to hit level 2, so guard can get thrown in on this team. I think, I mean, Jessup's kind of the same position as Greydek, though. I don't think you want to buy the replacement lineman. You can't anyway. I think you just save up for their Gutter Runner. This team needs more Gutter Runners, as many as possible. Having that one dead is really going to slow this team down, but luckily they're not that expensive, all things considered. Okay. Last match of the week here is between Andrew and Orville. Andrew pulled out his first win of the season and did it in a big way, going 2-0, gets 2 casualties, 2 touchdowns, and an MVP for a total of 15 SPP. Orville, not looking like an elf team here, only has the MVP and the casualty for 7 SPP. 70k for Andrew as well. Just absolutely fabulous. Pretty much exactly the kind of game Andrew needed to stick back into the things. I haven't watched this game either. You can watch it from Andrew's perspective and Orville's perspective as well. Let's see what we got here. No levels up, but some good SPP kind of all around here. Looks like the Bull Centaurs did most of the work. Lots of confusing. I know he has 2 touchdowns, but the season stats say he only has 1 touchdown here. Did his loner score it? I don't know. I would have to look, to be perfectly honest. That would make the most sense, but hopefully that's not the case. Either way, 2 casualties for this Bull Centaur is great. Andrew also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players within range of hitting level 2. With all the money he rolled as well, Andrew has more than enough to buy Chaos Dwarf Blocker number 6, which I think he should definitely do once he gets all 6. This team gets even more scary than before. I guess you could make the argument that Andrew could also save up for the Minotaur, but I don't think that's necessary. The Minotaur is pretty great out of the box already, and the Chaos Dwarf blockers are really fantastic and work really well in tandem with each other. Getting 6 block pieces on the field is definitely going to be an important step as well. So I think Andrew definitely wants to buy that. But obviously, who knows? Andrew likes to get a big guy, so we'll see what happens there. Bull Centaur is getting close to getting their first skill, which is important. We'll see if he decides to go for sure hands or more useful skills. Time will tell. Orville's side of things. Where are we here? There we are. 60k for Orville, so not bad for money roll. Actually, everybody rolled mostly okay this week, with some exceptions. Orville did buy his Apothecary, which is good. Block on the Witch Elf makes sense. Blodge, Frenzy, Jump Up is really gross. You get Pass on this runner, which I think is good. If you're going to be throwing with this team, which it sounded like Orville was planning to do, then Pass is definitely a good thing to have on a throwing piece. Dump Off plus Pass also makes passing pretty reliable as well, even when you're getting hit. So, cool. I like it a lot. Let's see what else we got here. Ooh, this Blitzer cannot get a break. -1 MA. Really not what he wants. Yeah, that sucks. It's still usable, I guess, but not great. This lineman is out with just a miss next game. Once again, Orville looking at a team or a week with only 1 Blitzer, which is really going to be rough. You got to save up for the other blitzers, I think. I think the blitzers are the most important thing here. Honestly, the runner... Man, the runner dying here is really unfortunate too, but if the runner gets to level 3, it might be worth considering getting leader. I mean, rerolls aren't that expensive, but all these other players are expensive, so it might be worthwhile. Just in terms of team value bloat too, to keep it down. Beyond that, Orville is going to be looking at a lot of free money, I guess, but this blitzer is really sad. No SVP under these guys too, not so great. I think what Orville also needs to be doing is more vanity passing. Pick up with some linemen, throw to the runner. That way, if, like, so we've got MVP on these two here. If I'm not an elf, damn it, and the elf formerly known as Steve had done like a vanity throw, or not even a vanity throw, a farming throw to the runner, for example, even if the runner is going to be your primary ball carrier, that would get them to level 2, and that would get block or wrestle or fend or whatever you're going to probably wrestle, honestly. That'll get more things for this team going. It just... I feel like Orville's not in the elf farming mindset yet, and that's something that, you know, you can start doing. It's really easy. Pick up the ball with a lineman. They all have 4 agility. Just chuck it to a waiting, whoever's going to be your ball carrier, and you can go from there. That said, I mean, it's not too bad. Aside from the blitzer being out, missing a lineman isn't the end of the world, so whatever. Cyrus up the week. Not a great week for my predictions. I was wrong pretty much everywhere except for the Chaos matchup. So I'm not doing so good. Let's take a look at rankings here. A couple teams with no official losses here. Chris with 2 ties. Greyduck here going 2-1-0. And me being super technically undefeated with a 3-0-0. Hooray me. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah. There you go. Let's take a look at next week here. We've got me versus Undead. Pretty tricky matchup for me because I don't know the Bloodthirster. If I had the Bloodthirster, I'd feel a lot more confident going in. Let's check team value stuff though. 1130 versus... Oh, let's see here. So assuming he buys the Ghoul, which I think he should, he'll be back at 1K. So I'll be giving him 130 if I remember my number correctly. Yes, 130. So, could be a couple things. 4th reroll wouldn't be too bad. Bribe for the dirty player wouldn't be too bad. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff you get as well. Igor, if you're scared for losing more players. I don't know. I kind of feel like the extra reroll is probably going to be the most beneficial thing for Zach, but bribe certainly wouldn't hurt either. So here's the problem. I can deal with pretty much everything on this team because of horns and all that fun stuff, except for the mummies. I am not going to have a block advantage, although I'll be able to match his block. I will have more ball removal thanks to my strip ball piece, so we'll see. I think I can defend well enough against this team. I just hope I don't get beat up too badly in the process. A lot of pit fighter cultists are going to stand next to these mummies and hope they don't get broken. I'm going to say that I can pull off a... let's call it a tie. I think I can defend well enough, and I've got enough experience that I can probably stop Zach from scoring, but I don't know if I can beat the mummies consistently or hard enough to make sure I can score. We'll see. I mean, magical things happen against Mark, but I'd rather not rely on big lucky plays to call it. So let's say a tie there. We've got Skaven versus Vampire here. I feel like this matchup's already happened, but I'm just thinking of, I think, Skaven versus Dark Elf. So Jessup's not in a great way, obviously. Another week of going up, so he'll be at 1050, assuming normal rolls here. Chris, 1160, so 100 for Jessup. A lot of choices there. I think an Apothecary, or if you're feeling risky, or probably the 4th reroll. Extra rerolls are never a bad thing, essentially. Kind of depends on what Jessup's more afraid of at that point. Pretty hard to say how this is going to go. It's a lot of 7 armor value everywhere. In theory, the extra mobility for the Skaven should be the deciding factor. only one gutter runner kind of limits that. If Jessup decides to start playing more of a true throwing game and using his gutter runner as a scoring threat, he should be able to do it. I'll give it to Jessup. He doesn't have a win yet, and I think he's hungry for one. So we'll see. I think the Rat Ogre is going to help a lot too. So we shall see. I think Hypnotic Gaze will probably be a huge issue for this team because, well, it needs to be able to keep its big pieces like the Rat Ogre in place. Hypnotic Gaze can also stop the gutter runner from catching if it doesn't get moved first, which can make it pretty uncomfortable to throw to if he decides to do that. So, pretty tricky game for Jessup. I think he can do it, though. I think just he's got an equivalent amount of block, but he's also faster overall. We'll see. Chris, as always, has a lot of luck going in. He won the last time they played, so we'll see. I could certainly be horribly wrong. The vampire, having 3 vampires is pretty huge too, but I think Jessup can do it. I think he's fast enough, and I think he'll be itching enough for a win. That should happen. Let's take a look here at Orville versus Mark. Orville will be getting a lot of money here, because again, he shouldn't be buying anybody. Just save up for third blitzer. So let's see here. He's sitting at 840 now. He'll get, let's see how many people are we missing. Missing 3 people. So he's going to be, oh god, and they're so expensive. It's writing 210, so it'll be 1050 for Orville. And then Mark, 1120. He hasn't bought anybody though, so it'll be 1170. So yeah, that's wizard money. We'll see what Orville decides to do. I think it might be beneficial, honestly, to take a third reroll and the Babe instead, because this team hits hard now, or hard enough now with 2 mighty blow pieces and all the block. Could go to Apothecary Babe too, but I think the reroll is probably more helpful. So assuming Orville does the reroll and Apothecary, or reroll and Babe, I still think that Mark has this game. Orville's team is just really tattered up at this point. Only 1 blitzer to the... I mean, yeah, the Witch Elf is nice, but the Witch Elf cannot deal with that team alone. And if the Witch Elf goes for surfing, Mark can outsurf that team. Outsurf this team, no problem. We'll see. I mean, Elf Bullshit is definitely a thing. He's got enough speed where he definitely could get somebody downfield, and it could be hard to deal with. Blodge is going to be relatively difficult to deal with, but the nice part about Frenzy is that if you throw enough blocks at somebody, they're going to get knocked over one way or the other. So we'll see. Orville certainly could do this. You know, Elf Bullshit is pretty magical, and if he screens nicely, he could do it. But I think that just the in-your-face style will do it. Also, Dirty Player might finally come into play for Mark here. So we'll see, but I think Mark has this win pretty solidly. Then we've got Chaos versus Chaos Dwarfs. We'll see. I think this is a pretty hard matchup for Grey Duck, honestly. So we got 1040 in team value versus, assuming Andrew buys the Chaos Dwarf blocker. 1110, so just a Babe for Grey Duck, which actually could be a pretty big deal since her armor is so high. As always, it's going to come down to the Hobgoblins. I feel like with 6 blockers, though, and the 2 Bull Centers, I feel like Andrew can do this. The Chaos Dwarf blockers can just mess up any kind of line that Grey Duck puts up there. Only 1 piece with block. I mean, this team is technically slower, even though there's going to be so many 4 movement allowance Chaos Dwarf blockers. I think the Bull Centaurs are going to be the big factor here. Whether the Bull Centaurs can go crazy or not will probably be the deciding issue here. I'm going to say a tie, though. I feel like Andrew definitely has the defensive power, especially with 6 blockers, to stop anything Grey Duck's trying to do. But at the same time, I think if Grey Duck can pin down the Bull Centaurs and get some hits to kind of use the force strength appropriately, should be able to forestall the problem with block everywhere. That said, with hitting, it comes down to armor breaks. Both these teams are very punchy. We'll see what happens. Andrew's ability to hit harder, I think, with all these blockers could definitely be a factor. And the huge range on the Bull Centaurs as well. We'll see. But tie game, I think for sure. So a quick recap there. I think tie game here. I think that Jessup will win. I think that Mark will win, and I think this will be a tie game here. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know how right I'm going to be. All these games have felt relatively close in terms of matchups going into them, so it's hard to say for sure who will go where. Let's look at the Hall of Fame really quickly here. Most experienced player, Abed, our first player to hit level 3, which is pretty good. A bunch of players really close to level 3, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in MVP range of getting level 3, so probably going to have more people joining that club later. Best scoring, somebody hit 3 here with auto trek, so that's cool. Best throwing, Hui is chucking the hardest. Jessup said he wanted to play a throwing team, and he's definitely throwing. Let's see here. I've got a pass in there, so that's good. We finally have our first interception as well. I am sad once again that's from me, but I don't have the scaling ability to move around, so these things happen. Yeah, so good job for Mark. Most violent player, Abed, doing it to it with 3 injuries total. Anybody else really limping together here? No, not really. It's kind of crazy how many casualties Jessup's getting with the I don't know, I thought he had more than that. Well, either way, having Skaven on here is just kind of silly. Best running, I'm way down here. I feel kind of good about that. Weird to see Orville with all this running around and not accomplishing a lot. Again, I'll have to watch the game to know exactly what happened here, but I think the problem is Orville's just not being able to get out and get through here. Yeah, if you're not running a gutter runner, weird things are happening. Although Jessup's throwing, so that kind of makes a little bit of sense here. Best throwing overall, not surprising. Hui's throwing the most, and he's throwing pretty slow, or low, so it works out. Epic pass to me. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see here. Starburns means nothing. Best killing power. Beatles here got the kill, so that's cool. I wonder. Huh, I didn't notice that. Let's take a quick look here. Oh, I wonder if Zach didn't hire the free dead player, because the interface is pretty confusing. I'll ask him about that. I just thought about that actually, because he should have stolen the player basically, but I don't see any Chris's names up there, so probably not. Let's see here. Best receiving, Balderdash. Not too surprised to see the gutter runner up there. Yeah, so it goes. I don't know. I'm really itchy to get more statistics in, so I'm always like trying to read a lot into 3 games, but it's just 3 games. You can't really put too much into that. This week should be pretty good. Week 5 is a repeat, I believe, of an earlier matchup. Which one, though? Maybe I'm just crazy. I thought we had a repeat in here. Either way, pretty good weeks coming ahead. Pretty good week. Should be next week. Fingers crossed on the Bloodthirster. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.